Strutman releases Zappacosta. Lovely feet from him. What a run from Zappacosta! Oh, it's absolutely stunning. It had been a quiet derby up until now, but Zappacosta produces a moment of magic.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adriano Donardo, Gianni Della Colli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The intro song is Fireworks by Jazar. Better late than never here on the Calcio Guys with Adriano Donardo, Gianni Del Colli. I'm Nicholas Di Giovanni, and this week our guest supposed to come on last week. A little mix up. It's fine. It happens. Fabrizio from Genoa Club Toronto. Fabrizio, how's it going?
Hi guys, thank you for having me again. Love being here.
We always enjoy talking. We always enjoy talking Genoa with you. We're you're the only Genoa fan we actually know, to be honest. But you know that's how it is. And
always a first, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Always a pleasure talking to you, Fabri.
But one of the more knowledgeable fans too. I mean, like it could be a Genoa fan who might not know anything. He's very knowledgeable. That's what I like about Fab.
That's a good point. It makes you our number one Genoa fan. Put it that way.
You mean the one and only, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we had the Derby della Lanterna about a week ago now. So for Genoa this season, it was the third time Genoa plays Sampdoria. We had the draw, two draws in the Serie A, and then Genoa won in the Coppa Italia. So if you want to look at it that way, and Genoa won last summer in the Derby. If you want to look at it that way, Genoa is undefeated this decade in the Derby.
Basically, it's a little bit over a year. I think last was about just over a year, yeah. So three games. I mean, I know Coppa Italia doesn't really count as points, but essentially they passed the turn. So if we had to count it as points, out of 9 points, it's 5. Or 1 win, 2 draws. That's awesome. The first game, so we're talking about the first round of the Campionato. We were still under the first Maran, so the first spell of the Genoa new season. So that was the season, the first initial part where, I don't know, it started well, then it went downhill with the COVID whole and so on, and then it just, I don't know, it just didn't happen basically. And since Ballardini came to play and they basically changed everything at management, I guess this is what Genoa was supposed to look at. And you still have the 2 or 3 new players that came in through the January market. And I think Genoa still has a lot to prove. And for the derby itself, very pleased with the team. It's obviously derby. We all know it because we all, besides the Torino one, which doesn't count, but we know that, right? But the derbys are always like difficult to predict, basically, right? Because you never know where it goes and so on. But the outcome, we are all quite satisfied. So to know that over a year, the Cugini, the Ciclisti, as everybody's now chanting about, that finally even got broadcast nationally, internationally, actually, from the English-speaking broadcasters. So they are the cyclists, the bikers, what are you going to call this? It's our nickname, make fun of them, right? Anyways, that we are undefeated and we're basically an edge above them in the competitions, meaning plural. It's a good thing. It's a good feeling.
So a good 3/4 of the season has been played, like give or take a few games. I think there's 12 games left in the season anyways, right? Who has been you feel like as if maybe your players, your team's biggest surprise and your team's biggest MVP this season so far?
That's a great question because, as I mentioned before, where we have the two sides, right? You have the first part, which was like a little bit on the downside. And I have to say in that first part, if I may divide it, and then I might give you my last call. The first part, say the big surprise, the MVP, up until that a certain point, I would say that Scamacca was a great surprise for everyone. Now, after Ballardini came into play, where I was even reading about that on the figurine panini, which are like the stickers, the card. Yeah. He's part of the top, not the top 5. It's like, I don't know. I don't really know the details, but about that he's like this specific 5 cards or stickers that he's been chosen upon. Anyways, since Ballardini's arrival, things have changed. We see the lesser of Scamacca, perhaps because of the January market. We didn't know it was going to go to Juve, was not going to go to Juve. Did that go to his head? We don't really know. But anyways, we see less about him. And we saw the arrival, hence your jersey, Johnny, of Strutman. And I think for the second part, up until now anyways, I would say he is my best player right now for Genoa. So...
And that was like my second question I was about to ask. Sorry for interrupting fast, because like I had a couple, and I wanted to I was about to ask you your opinion on Kevin Strutman. What do you think of him? Because, I appreciated his time for Roma, so I was wondering if so far you like what you're seeing with him, but I think you answered it pretty well there.
Yeah, I think he was missed in Serie A. Since his arrival, he brought again that completeness of his structure, of his type of persona and player, like not only as a person itself, like professionalism is one, but also about his type of player. And the thing that I was amazed about was, even though he was against another team, all the Roma fans, I was reading them on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and it was saying, just treat him well. He's like the best, and we welcome him no matter where he goes. So it was like just amazing to see that too, right?
Exactly.
Now, to answer your original question, who is my MVP of Genoa this year? It's going to be a tough one because then again, you had the Destro, was doing very well. He won the best MVP in January, but lately he hasn't been doing much. Genoa itself hasn't been really winning much in the last 3-4 games, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know. I guess overall, based on the completeness of the player itself, I would say for now, I'd say it's Strutman. He makes that difference that no one else can do right now.
Very well said. And Fabrizio, you mentioned early on, how you broke up the season. Obviously, Genoa has seen a change of coach this season once again, bringing back Tio Ballardini, as we like to refer him to. What do you, when we got the news that he was coming back to Genoa, we were like, if there's anybody to maybe shape up this team, it would be him. We saw the brilliance that he has brought back to this Genoa team. What do you make of the change of coach, about what Ballardini has done? You mentioned how Scamacca has kind of been dipped off the scene. Do you like how, obviously, you have history with him before as your manager? What do you make about him this time around, and how far can he bring Genoa?
Well, I guess we all used to say 3 is a charm, right? But this time 4 is a charm because his 4 fell. But I guess, we call him Zio Ballardini, as you mentioned. So Ballardini, he knows Genoa. He knows Genova, the city. He knows the management. He knows a lot of the players. He knows the fans and so on. So I think he was the best person to be called up. The fans were calling him since ever, since he was let go. When was that? 2 years ago, where Preziosi just whatever, he said that he was the worst coach in the world. But we don't because he's just anyways. So he was the best person to call to bring that the locker room all together, and he showed it. He proved it. He showed that he was up until a certain point, at least up until 1 or 2 games ago, he was at the same level of both Inter, of Juventus, like points average. I'm referring to. Obviously, the schedule was not that easy. Right now, there are 3 very super important games up ahead. First coming up Udinese and so on. So that's where we'll have to see, okay, did he just, not he or the team, did just not slip but slow down just because of the important type of games like Inter and Roma? Or was it just like it's still the time to continue to show and prove what he can bring to the team? And I think it's the second one, because I think that's, the attitude, for example, the Roma game, I'm sure we're going to have some questions about that, but the attitude, it was a very poor game, bad from both sides. Basically, the most experienced one or whatnot got the 3 points, and that goal just right from the beginning, and nothing really happened after that anyways. Nevertheless, it was the attitude that really cared, and importance was like before. So with Maran, the team was just waiting and saying, okay, well, we lost again. Okay, what's going to happen now? But now the players are mad, angry, to say, no, we could have served, we wanted to do more.
Yeah, and like just watching that game, I felt like as if it could have gone in a different direction. I did see Roma pressing a bit, but I do have to agree with you that it wasn't a game that I would say both teams really applied the best amount of pressure as they could. I mean, I don't know what like I can't talk for Genoa's behalf, but I know for Roma's behalf, I think they were just maybe keeping it down a bit just to make sure that they maybe had enough in the tank for today, but or maybe they just didn't take it as serious. But it was a very good game nonetheless. I mean, it was pretty close. I feel like as if it could have one little slip up and it could have been a nice 1-1 draw, or Oh.
Before you answer that, Fabrizio, I just wanted to ask both of you guys. So that was a 6:30 game here in the Eastern Time Zone. Did you guys wake up early for that?
Well, not the first half, maybe, but
the truth comes out here on the show, Fabrizio. The truth comes out.
Nick, for us was 6:30 a.m. By the way.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that part.
Yeah.
Very important. Very important.
I only caught the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's too early, those games.
It's my only day off, okay? I like to sleep, please.
Well said.
But back to the Jenny had the original question about the actual match itself.
Like how did you feel like about like Genoa's like you feel like as if maybe they themselves didn't give it their all, or you felt like as if something what's your opinion on that game itself?
Well, there have been a couple of games that the performance wasn't that best at their best. There has been a little bit of turnover, so we saw a little bit of different type of players that were compared to other games, because the biggest focus among the 3 games throughout the week, because in one week there were 3 games, right?
Yeah.
So there was Derby, and then there was Roma. The focus for us, for Genoa, was absolutely, as you can understand, looking at the standings as well, was the Derby. So all in all, they gave it in midweek. And I would say probably that looked like about 1/3 to almost half of the team was new. Not new, but they're not new. But, they're not the usual lineup. So having said that, I'm not saying that we didn't care about Roma, so we were just letting them win it. That's not what I'm trying to say. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just joking. And of course, it's always a good chance to give opportunities to different players to come back from injury, or just because they're always on the bench, and give them more chances basically to show up too, right?
Yeah, and is there like a player that you think can probably get featured more for Genoa? Like, is there a player that you're excited that you should tell like the Calcio world, like, hey, there's X player for Genoa who's up and coming, let's say, or not, I wouldn't say completely up and coming, but like who is severely underrated right now type of thing. Is there that one guy for you right now?
Well, you have, I don't know, like right at this moment, Destro was overrated. He didn't do well even against. I mean, it's not that he didn't do well; he didn't do amazing because always forwards always are scored or are marked against how many goals they do. So he not doing anything. He wasn't well. His performance wasn't that basically. Scamacca came in, and I think he has a chance now against Udinese because Destro is out. I'm not sure if you're pointing to one player versus another specifically, but another one that came up which might be able to get more minutes is Casata, but I don't have high feelings about this player. I think that Perines should be able to come back. Is he the best goalie for Genoa? I don't know, but he's definitely doing well. Biraski is another player in the defense that has been missing for a while, and he should be coming soon back. Rovella, we've talked about him, I guess, a while back, but he's definitely still has tons of time and potential in the future. The team is various. It's a wide bench compared to what I'm used to, so it's very interesting and important. Does that mean that the coach has preferred players versus others? Definitely. Are there interests behind the scenes that we don't know? Absolutely, and unfortunately, we'll never know to the extent.
Okay.
So, I had a question regarding Ballardini. We had a question from social media regarding Ballardini, but before I get to the question, I'll be honest. Obviously, don't know too much about him tactically as a coach, but I mean, when I see Genoa on TV, I see him on the sideline with the hat, with the sunglasses.
Genoa, Juventus in Coppa Italia, and then Juve had a big trouble trying to come out.
Oh yeah, well, Juve has trouble to come out against everyone this season, so we'll leave it at that.
That is true.
But isn't he like the coolest dressed manager in the city? Would you agree with me there? I think Pioli could challenge him a bit too.
Pioli, Mihalovic.
Yeah, him too.
Yeah, I guess so. You mean like for his looks or from the choices of
anything?
Both.
Okay, let me only say one thing. It's not about his outfit itself, but the one I really loved, I think I posted it somehow, and you often see him like this. And it's always like, I'm going to give it to you if you don't stop doing that stuff.
But the actual question is from Joseph from Calcio Fan Blogs, another Toronto guy. He asked, who's the ideal manager for Genoa?
Okay, this is actually I like this question. In the recent present or past or managerial type of experience of Genoa, specifically, I will outline it based on the performance and the love itself. So only looking at recent history, because if we go back, then they're going to be a lot more. I would say that the two that remain most at heart are Gasperini and Ballardini. Now, the difference between the two is, I'll put it simply at one point: attitude. So if I look at the attitude, Gasperini loses and Ballardini wins the hearts of Genoa fans.
That's fair. That's fair, and I think we've seen it. If you want to touch on Gasperini a bit, Fabrizio, I mean, I think we've seen it a bit this year. We had that whole Papu Gomez saga. We don't know what was said behind closed doors. We don't know what was said in the locker room. We don't know why they butt heads. We're getting the story, apparently, Papu says, but I think I'm going to agree with you on that one. I think Gasperini, yes, we've praised him a lot. When it's due, because he has done wonders with Atalanta in the past with Genoa as well. But I think when you mention attitude, I think you're spot on with Ballardini. I know this is 4 times the charm, like you mentioned earlier, but again, there's something sticking when he comes, right? Something sticks when he comes. He has that ability to make something happen with this Genoa team. So I think attitude. I think you're spot on. If we want to shift over to a player, we got another question from social media from our boys on Instagram, the Pizza Calcio, and this is an interesting one because I think this is an interesting player to talk about. They ask, will Luca Pellegrini ever be as good as we want him to be? Now, this is a player that we've seen him loan here, back to Juve, loan over there, whatever. We've seen him move around. He has played some good games. He's looked, from what I've seen at Genoa, he's looked decent. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But what do you make of Pellegrini? Is he a player that can establish himself in Genoa? Does he still need to go abroad? Because I think in terms for the Azzurri, I'm talking about now the national team, we need another left back. And if this guy can be something, why not? So what are your thoughts about Pellegrini this season and just how far he can be and if he can ever be as good as we think he can?
Okay. With Genoa in the first half, when we had Maran, we saw a little bit more of him, perhaps because he was, depends on your style and depends on what your players that you're putting out there and your model, right? With Ballardini, we saw way less compared to before, perhaps because of a little bit of his injury. He's a little bit prone to injury and so on. I'm just going to throw something out there and just give a food thought. I think Pellegrini has great potential, and the only way, no, maybe not the only, one of the few ways for him to come out how he could potentially be is if I would see him with, being that he uses them a lot, is with Gasperini. Think about it. Because he uses a lot the wings, center and forward wings. And I think potentially if he went to Atalanta, potentially thinking that Gasperini will stay with Atalanta for a while, I think that would be his best venue for him to come out at his best.
Interesting. He could be like another Spinazzola-esque type of player. I think they're very similar in that aspect of going up and down the flanks.
Like if I think back about the especially on the left wings, from Gasperini's side, you see a whole bunch of players that did amazing under his stuff.
Yeah, goal sense. Yeah, you're
right. I got one last question, actually, now that I'm taking a look. So you were mentioning Genoa's recent play, and you're right, it hasn't been the best. They are slipping a bit, but I don't think it's too much for worry yet. But how about you? Do you think maybe – because they are sitting at 13th right now. Wow, I can't talk properly. 13th right now. I don't know why I can't say it properly. But anyways.
13, bro. 13.
Do you think it's a bit of an urgent time for them right now, or do you think they're probably going to pull it together and you guys should comfortably stay mid-table till the end of the season?
A lot of people are predicting based on the last game, the last 10 games, let's put it that way, that Genoa should have a safe spell like throughout the rest of the 12 matches, as you mentioned before. Did they sit back a little bit? Perhaps, but we also have to look at what the games were out there, who we had against, basically, right? Could have they done better? Let's forget about the Inter game. Yes, because that one was almost like a no-show. Perhaps, I don't know. There's still a little bit of intimidation, in my opinion, with the bigger teams, against the bigger teams. Otherwise, I guess the next 3 games, as I mentioned before, are just going to prove what Genoa has showed so far. They could have been the surprise of the championship, which they hadn't for different reasons. Are they surprise-ish of the second part of the season? I think they can, and they are already. Indirectly with a limit to them, but yes.
Yeah, and there have been games where they were surprises too, where they've gotten results, especially like the Napoli Genoa game, just like Goran Pandev scoring a brace. Obviously, he has to score a brace versus Napoli, there are games where they show that they shouldn't be taken lightly. But then there's other games where it's like, oh, what's this Genoa squad that we're playing against? Like they're like sometimes they punch above their belt level, so to speak. But still, I have to agree with you there that there are games where it's like, yeah, no, they're really inconsistent. That's not basically what they're capable of.
Yeah, I agree. And oh, sorry, Nick, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna change the topic and ask another question. So if AJ, you're gonna continue the conversation.
I just want, just quickly. So Fabrizio, when we're talking about placements, whatever, looking at the table now, Genoa sitting 13th, like Johnny said. 7 points away from relegation, and this is a team that when we've had you on in the past, right, Fabrizio, and we've spoken. Madonna, is Genoa going to save themselves? Are they going down to Serie B? What's going on? We've seen this now. It's been a routine, right, since we've had you on the show.
Yeah.
This season, like you mentioned, it's been a bit different. A bit shocking or surprising, if you want to say it that way. 7 points away from relegation, but only 5 away from 10th spot, so the left side of the table. Is the left side of the table attainable for this Genoa side? I know you mentioned these next couple games, but to really end the season strong, is the left side of the table an overachievement, or is that a fair representation of how their season should have gone so far?
The season should have gone way different than what the plans were, and I don't know if it's obvious out there. I know you guys always said enough already, always like the fourth last, and sometimes we
wanted to see them either higher or they had to get a wake-up call. So now we're in that bubble. Where do we see them going?
I think the wake-up call just came. Obviously, they kind of slowed down a little bit for whatever the reason was. Perhaps the momentum, perhaps Inter trying to surpass AC, and they actually did. But as I said, the next 3 games are the most important one. I'm almost like repeating myself, but Udinese, Parma, Fiorentina, if I'm not mistaken, are the ones where basically Genoa is going to prove if they can stay on the left versus the right side of the table. Udinese is going to be a tough one because we've seen what Udinese has been done lately. Parma, Fiorentina, I don't know what to say about Fiorentina. I don't know. They're like probably the underachieving team in Serie A this year is definitely Fiorentina. On the paper, you're in the top 6 minimum, right? But Genoa on the other side, I think the plans were way bigger. It didn't go that well with the Ballardini, Zio Ballardini coming in. Definitely things have changed, and I think the players just have to start to think about bigger. Think about saying, okay, it doesn't matter. In fact, what he's saying is, it doesn't matter where we are in the table. We're just thinking about the game itself. So by the game itself, that's when you have to do what you have to do your best. And that's when you see it, for example, against Napoli or other teams and so on. But when you see, or like Juventus, for example, in Coppa Italia and so on. Now, when you see Roma, Roma, you saw a little bit of the team coming back, but when I saw that game against Inter, I was just a little disappointed. But
that's fair.
It happened, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you back to the whole derby. You mentioned it earlier on if you're watching it on the Zone in Canada. I mean, it is the Serie A feed that said it. Genoa's fans, they call Sampdoria fans ciclisti, cyclists, and Sampdoria fans called Genoa fans pigeons. Can you explain the history behind each of the names?
Well, okay, Cicli. Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, which one you want me to start with? The Genoa.
Start with Genoa, yeah.
Genoa nickname for Sampdoria. Well, first of all, we make fun of them because they are the guests in the city. It's a very long history. Like, Genoa is the oldest team in Italy. Therefore, they will always bring their fist against them by saying, it doesn't matter whatever you say. You can even be the one that won the Scudetto last, but it doesn't really matter. The oldest team of the city and of Italy is actually Genoa. So you can even just shut up, basically. Having said that, then obviously there's always what we call in Italian sfottò. Sfottò is basically what it means when you're making fun of the other, which is a friendly way to do it and so on. So Sampdoria, which was established in 1946 by a fusion among 2/3 teams. So they put those colors all together, and that's where they came with this shirt. I'm not going to call it beautiful because some people do, and I don't understand why. But, you know.
It says it on the collar. It says it on the collar, too.
You even say that? I'm not going to comment on that. But
I think that's a shot at me because I think once or twice on Instagram posts I kind of mentioned the fact like the jerseys are not bad. They're actually kind of pretty. Actually,
so we not only make fun of them because of the multitude of the colors, because if you look at, generally speaking, you always see 1, 2 main colors, and you might have secondary ones, but that's usually the trend around the world anyways.
Yeah.
So when you see a look at that, first things that we always say to them is always like, oh, that's Arlequin. Arlequin is Arlecchino, which is, I can't remember what city it belongs to. I think Naples? No. Yeah, maybe Naples. It's like one of the old costumes coming from 1800s and so on, where it's a multitude of colors. So it's another way to make fun of them. And if you look and dig deep down into the colors, jerseys of the ciclismo, so the cycling world, so your Tour de France, Giro d'Italia, and so on, I think there is something either very similar. They're usually very colored and stripes and so on. So we make fun of them by saying, oh, yeah, you don't know anything about soccer. You just ride a bike. So what the hell? Right? So
hilarious.
That's pretty good.
Tiger. Well, because they don't know, and obviously I'm a Genoa fan, so I'm going to look at it from a different perspective, because they don't know how to counterattack. They're like, oh, yeah, your symbol is a griffin, which doesn't even exist. So they're just like a pigeon.
Okay. So now we got the scoop on what the nicknames are, the friendly banter between Sampdoria and Genoa. No, that's I didn't even know
good.
that. I've always heard the Ciquisti. I remember you've always said it, Fabrizio. I didn't know the backstory, so it's good that you spread it to the world right now.
If anything, Sampdoria's away kit. I forget if it was last season. Where it was last season where it was like white and it had the blue on the sides and it had that like very strange design. That. Oh, I was not a fan of that one. That one belongs on in cycling.
But I think that's all we have for you, Fabrizio, tonight. Again, from the three of us, it's always a pleasure talking Genoa, talking Calcio with you. So we really do appreciate you coming back on this week. We know we had a bit of a mix-up, like Nick said, last week. So we're glad to have you back on this week, and we're gladly have you on again in the future to talk Genoa, maybe at the end of the season. We don't know. And just to be sure, you're on. So to find your club, you guys are on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook?
And Facebook, all three, yes.
All three. So that's at Genoa. I think it was Genoa CFC Canada on I'm pretty sure all three platforms. I also have, we also have, I'm going to say, I know you can't see because Padre Pio's face is in. Oh, there we go. There we go. The logo, the beautiful scarf that Fabrizio was so gracious to give us. Anytime the Derby's on, this is getting posted on our social medias. So again, Fabrizio, from the three of us, thank you so much for taking time out of your night talking to us.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate, and thank you again. Sorry for last week, but thank you very much. Always a pleasure coming and talking with you guys.
Yeah, for sure. We enjoyed talking Genoa with you.
Likewise,
thanks for coming on.
Likewise.
Oh, thanks for coming.
Thank
Ciao,
you, guys.
Fabrizio. Ciao.
Sergio Oliveira, who gave Porto the lead from the
today,
penalty spot in the opening 20 minutes. That's a long run-up. He's fairly whacked it. It's in! Chesney went down too loud. Soft couldn't keep it out. He started the scoring. Has he finished the scoring? 2-2 on the night. Porto lead 4-3. Juventus are heading towards the trapdoor.
Have you guys ever had to explain to your family who doesn't watch soccer how your team wins but loses?
There's been a banter era for my club, so I won't even finally getting out of it. So it's been rough, but yes.
When your team wins but loses, that's happened.
Let's see here.
Oh yeah, no, that's been a while.
I can't. Nothing immediately comes to my mind, but I kind of understand where you're going with this.
Have you ever had to explain to your family that doesn't watch soccer how your team buys the best player in the planet with 5 Champions League and they can't even make it to the round of 16 2 years in a row? Have you guys had to do that?
No, because
Thankfully,
I mean,
no.
when Napoli had Maradona, they won their international competition. So,
And we got 7, so I'm good.
Well, I've had to do that. Each of those things.
Come mai,
La Champions League, tu non la vinci mai. Come mai.
Hey, to be shit in Champions League, you have to qualify for it. Your teams weren't even there this year, so
Fair.
and
You know, that's a good point. I
to
can't
be shit
dispute
in
you.
Champions League, you have to qualify for it.
I'd rather stay home than get taken out by a cleaning product, a chocolate bar, and Uvine. I'm good. Go on.
I forget where I was going. Yeah.
Oh,
Juve
Juve.
wins yesterday, 3-2, but loses. I mean, I'm just saying this because you know it happened to Juve, but the away goals rule in extra time, that shit's just stupid. I'm sorry. Come on. You're giving the away team in the second leg an extra 30 minutes, you know, for the away goals. I looked it up, by the way. I looked it up. UEFA is the only competition that actually does this. Every other competition that has away goals, ties and stuff, they scrap it in extra time. CONCACAF, MLS playoffs, they scrap it. You know, they realize, you know, at that point, if you're tied after 180 minutes, give an extra 30 minutes and let the, you know, whichever team just scores more goals advances. But I mean, that's not an excuse for Juve when you buy Cristiano Ronaldo, right? Like the guy was invisible. No joke. At one point in the game, I actually had to look on the field to see if he was still playing. You know, I thought he was taken off. It's just bad. It's you know the meme from Malcolm in the Middle. You know, I expect nothing and I'm still disappointed. You know that's just Juventus in Champions League. You know, it's 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row, round of 16 losses. Yeah, one person could argue, well, both of those, same circumstances, they lose on away goals after winning the second leg at home, right? And, you know, you could easily argue the lack of fans really played into their mentality in both of those years, right? Because the last time they had fans in a Champions League knockout game at home was in 2019. So you know, maybe that's one thing, but I mean every team's playing under those circumstances as well. So you know, there's a lot of factors, a lot of things you could talk about, but you know, point is they didn't get it done, to be honest. You know, I wasn't expecting them to go out and win Champions League. I know a lot of people, you know, it's easy to talk you know, Juve buys Ronaldo to win Champions League, but I think that applied to 2019 and possibly 2020. But not 2021, because the moment they hired Pirlo in the offseason, everybody knew, you know, they're kind of end of the cycle and trying to start something new, you know, start something fresh. I want to ask you guys like eating, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
You guys like eating? What do you guys like eating?
Pasta, pizza, anything.
What is this, like a segue into pasta fagioli or something? Is that what you're
This
gonna?
is a segue to the
Is that kind of
guys.
No. Okay.
Well, it depends. What are you asking for? For supper? For dessert? For breakfast? It's important.
What do you want to know?
For the podcast.
What do you want to know?
For the podcast.
You know what? I love tiramisu. I can go through a whole freaking tray of tiramisu if presented to me. No shame.
You know what I like eating? I like eating my words. That's what I like eating.
Fuck, it's about time, Chris.
Chiesa, man. Chiesa. What a player. And you know what,
Oh,
Johnny?
yeah,
I'll play the clip. I'll play the clip from you. September 18th, 2019. I got it. Here, I'll play the clip. This is what Gianni said September 18th, 2019. If you're going to take one player on your team right now to win the Scudetto this season, not thinking about the future, not thinking about the past, to have the best team possible this year, who are you taking?
Chiesa.
I would have to agree, but I just think Bernardeschi, when he was on Fiorentina, I mean, they made it to what? They made it to Europa League.
If we're talking about just this season only, because future-wise, I think it's fair to say Chiesa is going to be better than Bernardeschi.
Yeah, overall.
If you're going to build a team this year, I'll take Bernardeschi because of his experience. Yeah. September 2019, we were debating Chiesa or Bernardeschi, and I think right now obviously there's no debate. Gianni likes to say Chiesa is the best Italian player. I think for that it's a bit different of an argument because you got different positions and stuff. You could definitely make a case for it. But to see him score 2 goals in the Champions League, the first Juve player to do that in a Champions League, Italian player to do that in a Champions League knockout stage since 1999, since Pippo Inzaghi, or rather, I think it's his first 2 goals. I forget the exact stat. It's exciting for Italy. It's exciting for Italy moving forward to the summer at this point. He's a player I think I've obviously grown to like throughout the season, and now that Juve is pretty much out of Champions League, 10 points behind Scudetto, I'm already looking forward to the Euros. So, hopefully he's going to be a big part of that.
I mean, I'm so happy that you're starting to see what I was trying to argue 2-3 years ago about how I honestly had strong faith in Chiesa being a great player for Italy. And just like I said, probably in the clip, if people ever go back to look at that old episode, in the semifinals versus Atalanta, I'll remember this one play, and it was Cavani-esque. That's why I knew immediately that this kid was going to be good, is because he was way up ahead. Fiorentina did not have possession. Atalanta had possession. I forgot which defender it was, but he legit ran all the way back, dispossessed the defender of the ball, took it up and ran up, and it's either he scored or he assisted on the play, but that led straight to a goal scoring opportunity, and Fiorentina capitalized. So, like that right there, just in my eyes, showcased this kid's got something special. He's got the drive, he's got the hunger, and even if you watch him play recently, like in the Lazio game, like he's near the box, he deked like 3. Like he didn't end up scoring, but like he deked like 3 players and like did like a nice little spinorama, I think it led to a good opportunity. And it's weird because he's looking down when he's always looking at the ball, but yet somehow knows about the people around him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if that makes any sense. I feel like as if right now for Italy, he's probably talent-wise, in terms of skill, like actual skill-wise, probably our most skillful player with his feet. He's able to possess the ball really well in tight situations, knows how to get out of these tight situations, and I feel like as if he's used as a supporting type player, it's the best role for him. And even though he did score 2 goals for Juventus in the Champions League match, this entire season he's been for them in the supporting type role, and it's been perfect for him. And going to Juve, as much as I hate the fact that he went to Juve, was probably the best decision of his career, because I'm pretty sure I've said it many times before, and I'll repeat it again. Over there, he's not the number 1 dependent on guy. He's maybe the 3rd or the 4th most. But the point is, he's not the end-all, be-all for Juve. So he has less pressure from that. And he's playing in a position that he's not as demanded on offensively. He can be a bit more creative. And Pirlo, I find, is a very patient man himself, and he's willing to help Chiesa grow, I find. And I think maybe that's the project with maybe what Pirlo, what Juve might see in the next season or two. If what the Twitter rumors that were written out were true from I believe it was Fabrizio Romano who tweeted that Juve kind of want to focus on a new core.
Yeah.
I mean, besides Szczesny, a lot of those players are really young. So I think they might have a game plan going forward, and Chiesa is going to be a very big integral part of that. And who knows, maybe Pirlo might be a big part of that plan as well.
Yeah, and if we're just, obviously, I think just to talk quickly about Chiesa, I think it was always pretty evident on our end that the kid had the talent, right? For me personally, if I can speak for myself, it was always like he has the talent, but like he needs to be consistent. Obviously, it's two different scenarios. Him at Fiorentina, him at Juve now. It's hard to compare. He's playing with different caliber players as well. When you have other guys around you that can make you better, like on the pitch as well, it helps. Instead of you being that sole player. So I think, no doubt about it, obviously in the game against Porto, he was the man of the match. He was the one that, if it would have went Juve's way and if they would have been saved, he would have been their saving grace in that matchup. But yeah, I mean, again, Nick mentioned it before, there's no excuses for Juve. I think it was pretty embarrassing, pretty just not the way things, I guess, should have went for them. But again, they put themselves in that situation. They didn't come out to play both legs. Obviously they got the crucial away goal, but from head to toe, I think Chiesa was, he got the away goal, right? Comes back at home, puts 2 more goals in, gets substituted out. Like, what else do you want the kid to do? Ronaldo, no show, like Nick said. I think just from top to bottom, even if they were gonna advance, what was it going to be? Like, this was just going to be like a Band-Aid thing, like solution on like the problems that they actually do have, you know what I mean? So I guess, it's always something that you want to, in Champions League, you want to progress. It is embarrassing. It is what it is now. But again, credit to Porto. Pepe had a hell of a match. You got to tip off your hat to Porto to getting the job done. But again, this is... talking about Ronaldo, Mr. Champions Leagues. It's baffling to me because I think they have the players. I guess it's not coming together as a whole, but it's crazy. Now there's rumors. Oh yeah, get rid of Ronaldo right away. Get sack Pirlo, this and that. I mean, how are you going to progress forward with the team that you have if you're just going to blow everything up with sacking this and getting rid of the best player in the world? But again, his contract ends in 2022, from what I've been reading. I don't know if they'll get rid of him this summer, but people can argue he's done more good or more bad for Juve. They put him, more in a hole financially. He's done so many good things on the pitch, but at the end of the day, I think Juve should have advanced. They didn't get the job done, so they have to take a good look at themselves. But I think eventually they will come around and. Things just need to be changed. I think it's not the coach right now. This is 3 times. Allegri, like we've seen all over social media, Allegri, Sarri, and now Pirlo. The players have changed a bit. Systems have changed, but I don't know, upper management maybe has to wake up and smell the coffee a bit too.
Okay, Gianni, today Roma in Europa League 3-0 against Shakhtar.
Here's El Shaarawy. Lovely run by El Shaarawy. Beautiful finish by El Shaarawy. He announces his return to Roma in some style.
You know what I like about this win for Roma, Gianni? Or rather for Italy. We're just talking about Chiesa with the national team. 3 goals by Italian players. Pellegrini, El Shaarawy, and Mancini. But you know what? Like, for Roma, comfortable 3-0 win at home. You really can't ask for more.
No, exactly. Any time in a home and away matchup, if you can shut out the away team at home, it's fantastic. It just helps you out going into the away leg because now you don't have to have that thought in the back of your mind of, okay, in case of a draw, do they move on with the away goal differential? So it's exactly better than what I was expecting. I honestly thought it was going to be a tighter game for both teams, but El Shaarawy, coming on like 10 minutes and just making a big difference. Like he came on late too, and they just poured it on from there. And Mancini 2 goals in the past 2 games that he's played in Europa League and Serie A. Like at the Genoa game, so he's been fantastic for them winning the ball in the air. I think the players themselves, they're starting to get a bit of confidence in them. Imagine this is a Roma without Zaniolo. Chiesa Di Tatti on Twitter said it very well. It's like even if Roma doesn't win anything this year, which I don't think anybody's expecting them to win anything, but even if Roma, they finish, let's say, top 4, or if they, maybe they lose in the quarterfinals or semifinals or whatever it is in Europa League, it's an exciting team to watch going in the future because they're starting to identify a good young core. And it's weird because now you're going to say like El Shaarawy is going to be like the veteran of the core. And the guy's like my age. He's like 28, 29 years old. Actually, I think he's younger. So it's
he's 92. He's born 92.
He's 92. So he's but I think he's September 92.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
He just turned. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, okay. So he's my age, or lack of a better term, by 4 months. So what? But anyways, actually,
Johnny,
2 months.
September and July are 2 months apart.
2 months. My bad. Don't. Anyways, off topic. On topic. I hope that Mayoral really stays with them. I know a lot of people don't have a solid opinion on him. I don't think he's going to be our main striker after Dzeko, or the main striker for the club going forward. But if you can buy him out at the end of the loan and maybe give him a 2-3 year contract, like maybe he might be a great fit until you actually find that true number one striker for them. Because like I said, Zaniolo, I love him in a more of the attacking mid position. You can play him on the wing as well. Very adaptable player. But I wouldn't put him as the number one striker because he's going to get especially with his ACLs, he would get too much abuse, too much problem. So, yeah.
Goalwood, it's in! It's Simon Kjær who's headed home! Manchester United switch off for one crucial second, and it's cost them big time.
And then Idri with Milan today. Crazy finish with Kjær scoring his first goal for Milan. Perfect timing. I mean, obviously you're not, Milan's not getting the 3-0 win around, but you know what, 1-1, you get the away goal. It's not the worst thing ever, but I mean, obviously the tie is still wide open, going towards the next week at home against Man U.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think that first goal couldn't have came at a better time for us Milan fans. Yeah, I unfortunately only saw the second half. I was at work today and I only caught the second half, but I think it was the better half to catch because that's where really all the action happened from what I saw. Obviously, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, with Europa League, we got past Red Star, we got matched up against Man U. This is a historical matchup in terms of Europe, as we mentioned in our last show, and just you see on social media, you remember all the moments in the Champions League moments and stuff like that. But so it was kind of hard to really see what to expect. I know Man U was not a pushover team. Yes, they were missing players. We were missing all our starters as well, so that was kind of a bit nerve-wracking. But at the same time, it's like, listen, these players came off a good performance against Verona. Now they had to go to Manchester and prove something. And when I got to halftime and I saw that it was still 0-0, I'm like, listen, we have a chance in the second half. Traoré there scored that wonder goal. I guess you can say that I guess beautiful header from the Bruno Fernandes finding him. And, not even Donnarumma could have reached it. So, credit to him. I think he maybe could have stayed at Atalanta a bit longer. Exactly. He could have stayed at Atalanta a bit longer and maybe that goal wouldn't have been scored, right? But, no, jokes aside, credit to him. But I think I had two opinions. Either if it was going to end at 1-0, I was going to say, this was a missed opportunity. They needed that. I mean, not the away goal was crucial, but they would just put a lot more pressure at home. They really had to defend and really had to go win out the tie that way. But and at the same time, watching the game, I mean, they were just Milan wasn't clinical at all. Wasn't didn't have that killer instinct in the final third, and that was killing us. And I was like, this is really gonna be the reasons why we can't even get a goal. Thankfully, like you mentioned, Kjær getting his first for the season for Milan. Again, couldn't have came at a better time. He played the corner beautifully, unmarked. Was able to find the space in between the flurry of players there, and got ahead on it and scored. You just love that. Those last minute goals. I screamed in the back. I got a little excited. It was an exciting feeling. I saw Pioli excited on the sidelines, just the players as well. And I think again, it's a motivational thing as well. They came off, like I said, the Verona match, the 2-0. With a depleted squad. They went to Manchester. Didn't get the win. Sorry, but I think the 1-1 they'll take. And again, now they have to go to the weekend against Napoli, and then again to play United again. Next week. So again, I think these are positive things that they got this result. I think besides a win, this was the result that they would have liked. I just need to see the team more clinical in the final third. It's been a running thing. Obviously, I thought Leao would have performed a lot better. He looked not like the Leao we want to see. Again, who knows? I don't know how many of the players that we've been missing will be there. Come next week at San Siro. But I think again, it's not an excuse. They were able to get the job, half a job done, I guess you can say, in Manchester. Now they have to finish the job in Milano.
Serie A, a lot of goals this match day. A lot of late goals. 32 goals across 10 games. 3.2 goals per game. Especially a lot of big games at the bottom of the table. Crotone gets an important win, 4-2 against Torino. Serge Cosmi, his first win with Crotone. Maybe they could bring back the magic from 2017. I really doubt it. I don't think they're going to stay in Serie A. Fiorentina Parma, another late goal. Two teams really underachieving. Especially as Fabrizio said, Nangolan, crazy goal in Samp Cagliari. But I think the weirdest goal from the weekend comes from Spezia Benevento. Adolfo Gaich with the goal, Benito Nicola Viola with the assist. Two names you don't really hear often. And you know what? These guys, first of all, he goes by Nicolas Viola. First of all, he doesn't even go by Benito. That's his first name. It is Benito. A German ancestry, born in Argentina. Questionable to say the least. And then Adolfo Gaich. At least he goes by Adolfo and not something else. So that it kind of made me laugh when we saw that on the weekend. Let's do our cards and MVPs, I guess. You guys want to start with? Let's do cards first, so we could end the show on a high note.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll go first, I guess. So I'm gonna give a yellow card to Sirigu's sloppy performance. I know it's a very rare bad performance from Sirigu. He's usually pretty good for Torino. A lot of the goals, like 3 out of the 4 goals that they scored, happened before they were down a man. So you can't say that, it's because they played with a man down the entire game. That's why he let in 4. A lot of the goals that they scored, he didn't possess the ball well, or he wasn't positioned well enough. So if there was one player that, in my eyes, did not play to their best performance and probably did worse than they should have, it's probably going to be Sirigu. But it's probably the rare occasion that he gets a yellow from me, so I'm going to give him a yellow card.
This is definitely going to be another yellow.
Adri?
Yeah, so for me, originally, I didn't know how in depth we were going to go about the whole Juve Porto Champions League thing. I was going to give obviously a card there. We mentioned it before. Something we didn't mention: 10 men Porto on top of it, so that stings as well. But to move away from that topic, I'm going to give my yellow card to Sassuolo in this past match day against Udinese. I don't know, this Sassuolo team makes me think sometimes. I don't know. Like, we like to praise them on the show. They do have some good play, but there's times like this where they go face an Udinese team that, again, have shown some good times, good things throughout the season. There's times where they have looked terrible as well. I guess this was one of the times that Udinese looked good and Sassuolo looked bad. So for me this week. I think, I don't know, Sassuolo can just give more. I think we expect more from them now that we're seeing that what they can really do under De Zerbi and just, you know, with Ciccio Caputo, all the players that they have that, you know, we expect so much, but it's games like this where you get left scratching your head. You know, the 2-0 loss to Udinese. So just on their play in that matchup, I'm going to give a small yellow card there.
It's a late challenge, surely maybe the first yellow of the match.
So for me, I'm going to have to give my red card. I'm going to go a bit more harsh than you guys. I'm going to have to give a red card to Mary Demiral. He's just, his tackle against Porto in the Champions League, completely useless. He makes those challenges a lot. He makes
very aggressive.
stupid decisions. You know, there's being aggressive and there's playing with Guinta and then there's being smart also. You need to be smart.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do that. A lot of people like to praise Demiral because, you know, he likes to scream and yell after he makes a nice tackle. You know, yeah, it's good. It's cool. It makes for a cool picture. But it doesn't help the team. Even against Lazio, he made a hard challenge. I forgot on whom. He got the ball. It was clean. But if he missed the ball, it would have been a red. He went studs up. It would have been a red. He gets up, screaming and yelling, yeah, I'm good, this and that. Meanwhile, he's the one that cost, you know, I'm not going to say it's only him against Porto, but without that penalty, Juve wins 2-0 and they advance, you know. So, for me, he's not Juve material. I don't know. I can only hope because he's young, he's going to learn from his mistakes, but I haven't seen any of that so far. He hasn't learned from any of his mistakes, and that's the problem I have with him. Red card for me.
Going to go to the pocket and get out the red. It's a red card.
Gianni, MVP?
Well, just to quickly, before I give the MVP, it kind of strings back to, like, remember, I think it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago where you're like, I don't have a yellow card, and I told you, why don't you give it to De Ligt and Demiral? Because
just Demiral.
That last play when he was on, you know, that he's the reason why that game ended up as a draw, because he really let go of his man. And I think maybe he's been having a bad string of games. But anyways, I don't watch Juve because I'm not a Juve fan, because F Juve. I'm just kidding. I'm going to keep this show clean. I'm kidding. I'm doing it in good fun because I love my cousin and I love to bug him. And speaking of my cousin, you know, he likes to pick like 5 or 6 different players. He takes the entirety of Serie A to be MVP of the week. It leaves me with almost nothing to choose from. So I'm going to go with my MVP of the week. I'll go a little bit off the board, but I'll go for a former Napolitan player. Adam Unas. Gets a goal and assist. Not very often you hear this man's name come up. Player that was another player who had potential, and, you know, like, kind of hoped for the best, but never eventually fit into the project. But, you know, for me, for actually being a very impactful player for his game, I'm going to give him a goal and assist, and I'm going to give him a goal and assist. I'm going to give him MVP for his goal and assist this week.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure he already got the goal and assist, Jenny. You know, he doesn't need your approval. That's MVP to Unas.
Unas goes along the touchline, comes back in. Oh, what a stunner! Another stunner! And Unas puts the game beyond dodge for Crotone. What a way to get your first 3 points, Mr. Cosme.
But yeah, that Crotone Torino match, I mean, a lot of people probably didn't watch it. Bottom of the table teams, screamers, some screamers as goals, including, you know, Unas had a nice goal. Sanabria had a rocket of a shot. Beautiful game, you know, between two bottom
4-2.
teams. Yeah.
4-2. Like, I mean, I think you said it right. Like, you know, people probably would have changed the channel, seen that matchup. But again, that just proves, we say it all the time, no easy games in Serie A. Serie A is just games like this where you're not even going to think about, but, you know, they deliver, you know, performances like that. So, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. So if I'm going to, I guess, move on to my MVP. Just wanted to mention some other names. I didn't mention Tomori's name earlier on when I was talking about Milan in Europa League. I think he redeemed himself after losing Traore on his goal. He kind of, you know, looked a bit lost on that play, and I was like, okay, Tomori maybe made a bit of a mistake, whatever. Some of the, I mean, I know he's aggressive, and I hope I can say that he's the aggressive but smart type, like Nick was mentioning with Demiral. I think he made an incredible tackle in the box where I was fucking holding my everything. I was like, Madonna, this guy's going to let go a penalty. But he made a hell of a tackle, got the ball clean, stole it, and the play went on. So just, a little shout out to Tomori. I liked how he settled in on Milan as of late. I hope this can be a partnership that we can see, with him and the club for a long time coming. Another name, Nick mentioned it earlier, a screamer, Nangolan for me, incredible. I mean, this guy, you need something, you call him. It seems like a special Cagliari. He's kind of been a bit of their saving grace alongside João Pedro and other names, but just an unbelievable goal, like last kick of the game, like you couldn't get any more nail biting than that. So I mean, praise for him. And lastly, I mean, for me it's a toss up for who I really wanted to give it to. So I think I'm going to give it to the pair, and I think Johnny's probably going to like this, but I'm giving it both to Insigne and Osimhen for two different reasons. Because these two players for Napoli have been under scrutiny. We've mentioned it a lot on this show. I'm pretty sure all of Calcio Twitter has seen it on just Calcio Twitter itself. It was so great to see Osimhen finally getting back on the score sheet. I remember when he first broke in to the lineup, first got onto the score sheet. I think it was against Bologna the first time he scored. Don't quote me because I'm not 100% sure, but he is a player that I think we expect a lot from, and I think he can deliver. He's had some unfortunate times. It's good to see that him getting onto the board against Bologna. And again, another name that gets a lot of criticism, mainly because he's the captain. He's not Wuladan. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and when he makes his mistakes, it gets magnified, and that's Lorenzo Insigne. But he had 2 goals on the weekend. It's a player I like. I've always been a fan of Insigne, and I know I'm dragging this on a little bit too much because Johnny has his hand up. I'm the teacher right now, so Johnny, you can wait for your question. But yeah, no, just not enough good things to say about Insigne over this little stretch. I don't want to say it's been a whole turnaround with Napoli, because I if I can catch Napoli and if it's on, I'll try to watch as well. But I don't want to say it's a full 180 because there are a lot of things to be fixed. But they've looked better, if I can say the least, in these past couple of games. Individual performances like Insigne's, like Osimhen on the weekend, I think help that cause. And I think these types of performances can propel Napoli to a level where I think they feel comfortable. And again, if it's with or without Gattuso remains to be seen. But for me this week, I'm going to give it to a pair, Insigne, Osimhen, for my MVP.
It's been a fascinating day of action, and it hasn't finished yet. Insigne, and the Napoli captain takes care of business. What a finish!
Yes, Johnny.
Yes, Johnny.
I think you guys should just I was talking about this when I was on the Raf and Raf show.
Shout out to you, Josh. I was in the comments. I was on the comments. I was under the Calcio guys giving you love. Had to show some support.
Appreciated it. It made me laugh a couple of times. They do a great job, and honestly, the platform that they were using was actually pretty fantastic. It's great for doing live shows. So shout out to them. Thank you so much, guys, for having me on. They say they like to listen to us and they love what we do, and vice versa, guys. We love what you do. But I did mention, we did touch upon Osimhen, and people need to realize that this guy's got 11 games in Serie A under his belt because of injuries, which 4 to 6, if you want to count 83 minutes as full games that he was on for the whole time. Most of the time he was brought on as a sub. But that game versus Bologna, he got that nice goal. Could have had a second beautiful one.
I was going to say.
And on the Insigne goal, on his second goal, the ball went off his head. He placed the ball just off a header, like right behind him, in a perfect spot for Insigne to take it and run off. Osimhen, when he's on top of his game, is fantastic. And I know a lot of people criticize him because, 70 million this season, blah, blah, blah. But the guy only has 11 Serie A games under his belt. and he's been injured or sick for majority of the season. So I think Osimhen, until he plays a full season in Serie A, should at least be clear of proper critique or criticism. You could critique his play on a game, but overall, what he brings to the table for Napoli, I will defend the guy because right now, the guy has yet to string together a solid, let's say, 10 games. He can't even because every time there's like a fourth or fifth game, there's something that happens. So, and now with the whole what Joe Fischetti shared on Twitter. Shout out to Joe as well about the African Cup coming up where Senegal is playing in the quarterfinals as well as Nigeria. Let's hope
keep him home. Keep him home or pray to God because he's been unlucky. And again, I agree, Johnny. He deserves the time. He deserves the time. To really settle into Serie A.
Touch on to Osimhen. This is exactly where he wants to be. Surely he has the pace to get beyond Danilo, but can he beat the keeper? Osimhen, home and away. He loves it against Bologna.
You kind of took some of the players I wanted to name as MVPs, but that's fine. That's the whole point of this. Recognize greatness in the Serie A. I'm going to go with Handanovic, actually, this week. Kept a clean sheet against Atalanta. That's not an easy thing to do. Obviously not only him, but the entire Inter defense, right? It was obviously Skriniar with the goal that, gave
I think assisted by Bastoni, too. Was that right? Was that right?
I
have to double check that.
Possibly.
I have to double check that.
I have to think of the play in my head now. But yeah, he made some key saves, especially I think it was in the first half. It was assisted by Bastoni.
I'm looking on the score on the app. It says Bastoni, Skriniar goal assisted by Bastoni.
Okay, you know what? This is to the entire Inter defense and Handanovic. Goes to the entire group, and I feel like that's almost like Conte's identity. We've seen his teams where they're so good defensively, and then the defenders contribute offensively. Obviously we saw that with Juve, right, with the BBC, a bit with Italy too. So Inter massive win against Atalanta. I think that was one of the games where everyone was, maybe Milan and Juve fans were hoping, okay, this is now they're going to drop points. Now they're going to drop points. They didn't. I think slowly they're just they have almost one hand around the Scudetto. I think at this point, 6 points ahead of Milan, 10 ahead of Juve. It's not going to be easy. But it's also going to be not going to be easy for them to wrap it up. It's also going to be difficult for Juve and Milan. No trophy is easy to win in sports, but it's going to be a challenge for those teams. But that's why we watch the games on the pitch, and for Inter, at least the defense did the job this week.
Behind them is Perisic. De Vrij leaps. Bastoni jabs. Skriniar! And the centre-backs have come up with the goal. He's been utterly preoccupied with Duvan Zapata until now. But Milan Skriniar, big goal.
Well, the one thing I do want to say about Inter, what pisses me off, is that the 1 year that I don't pick them to win the Scudetto, they're most likely going to win the Scudetto. And after 2 years in a row being like, oh yeah, they can do it this year. Oh yeah, they can do it this year. And then finally like, oh, it's going to be Juve like always. It's not Juve. What is this bullshit?
I said Inter last season, and then I said Juve this season. I should have done the opposite, and I should have put money on it. But it's fine. Adriano, where can you find us on social media?
Yeah, and just quickly before we wrap it up, again, like we mentioned last week, it's still a couple games. There's still games left. It is Inter's to lose, if anything, like we mentioned, and I think it's going to be a fight to the finish. No matter the point difference right now, I still think it's going to be a fight to the finish. And again, excited for the upcoming week in Serie A. Me and Johnny's teams or me and Johnny, one of Johnny's half teams, middle, whatever. Me and Johnny are going at it this week. Milan, Napoli. I think that should be obviously the game of the week. So we're excited for that one here on the Calcio, guys. But again, guys, where you can find us.
Before you continue,
has something else to say.
We move our clocks forward this weekend in North America.
Shit.
Italy doesn't.
True.
So the games on Sunday are going to be an hour later. So if your team is playing at 7,
True.
the normal 6:30 slot, it's going to be at 7:30, more manageable. 3:45, it feels so late. And the Champions League games next week, 4 p.m. Eastern time. That's not even afternoon anymore. That's just the evening.
Like it's rolling into, if you have an early supper, that's rolling into your early dinner. If you're going to be eating the plate of pasta while you're watching Champions Europe, whatever, Serie A. So again, guys, just get used to it for this week. But again, it should be an interesting weekend coming up in Serie A. But like we've said, every week, where you can find us at the Calcio Guys on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as well. We also are on another platform, Clubhouse. If anybody else is on Clubhouse, give us a follow there. We'll always like to talk to you. I've kind of dabbled a bit in it, and it seems pretty fun. So find us there as well, where you can find our podcast on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Give it a like, subscribe, share it, and we'll be back next week to talk a lot more Calcio.
Thanks for listening.
Ciao.
Bye.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adriano Donardo, Gianni Delacoli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The outro song is The Last Ones by Jazar.